Hello friends, bienvenidos. My name is Jen, aka Jen Calo on social media, your local witchy friend and intuitive guide through the occult. As always, my lovely husband and co-host is David, aka Premier Pools on social media.
Hi everyone, on today's episode, Jen explains logos and occult symbols.
Welcome to the show, grab a chair, make yourself at home. Jen's got stories to share, you'll never feel alone.
I'm so happy to be back in a routine. This is our second episode post-surgery.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited because I came up with this topic and the research before I had surgery.
Yeah, you did. And what was it that you're like, damn it, we missed the cutoff because you wanted to release this episode?
On episode 66.
66, yeah, which was Aquarius, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Interesting Pisces episode, huh? What would you think about it?
Yeah, I went a lot deeper than I usually do about like me as a person. So it was kind of interesting, but a lot of people said that they resonated with it. So that was great. I'm glad that it helped illustrate like how Pisces can manifest in somebody's life.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that as I was editing it, I kind of noticed that there wasn't much about me said, which I know, like, that's the running joke, but it was really cool to see you kind of go into your Pisces house. And we've had conversations, but I think this one really sparked a good one because we had some people in our Discord. If you're not part of it, you can join the Kythera Club for as little as $4. So I'm sorry, just shameless plug. But they were very interested in Pisces, and a few people asked you to like give them a little more information, right?
Yeah, everyone that was part of the Discord dropped their chart, and then I sort of gave them a mini reading about like this is where Pisces influences you on the day-to-day. For some people it was with their family, for some people it was with schooling, and for other people just like me, if they're also a Libra rising, it was their day-to-day as well. But they had different planets, so it manifested differently for them.
Yeah, but people really liked it. I wonder why so many people resonated with like their Pisces or were like super interested, almost more than their regular rising sign.
Yeah, I think it's because we went more in depth, so people understood it a little bit more.
People liked it. I also got some feedback that the celebrities is like really fun to listen to, but sometimes when people don't know who that celebrity is, it's like, oh, like who is that? But just as a reminder, the reason we do that is because they're the archetypes, and we try to pick people who are like as not relatable but as like notable, so that way it's easy to make those connections, like so and so is, you know, shows these characteristics. But like Jen mentioned, even in last episode, there's a little bit of everything in everyone, so those are like our archetypes. And we've kind of said like you choose some like big ones, then you choose some for me, then you choose some for you. But yeah, that's kind of how we came up with that. But yeah, let us know if you like that or you want to see like a certain type of celebrity. You know, that would be interesting. But that's why we do that.
Yes. A little bit before we go into the new topic. So I'll be hosting an in-person manifestation workshop on March 22nd from 4 to 7 p.m. at Luna Luna, along with Sarah from Abracadabra and Vanna from Kids Elysium. We're going to be doing a cool manifestation workshop. I'll be doing readings, and then Vanna and Sarah will be doing crafts that you can take home with you. So I'll post the link up shortly once we're ready with like the where to buy tickets and with the flyer. So stay tuned.
You're kind of coming back full force. I mean, we talked about it last time about your different retrogrades and your Saturn's ending and stuff. Are you feeling more motivated in general, or is it just your personality of like, okay, I'm good now, and then just diving right back into everything?
I think part of it is I was just so sad to be like forced to stay still, that now that I have this freedom, I'm feeling better. I'm like, I want to do all the things.
Yeah,
so.
I've seen you light a lot more candles in the bathroom. Astrologically speaking, like what's like the motivation going on?
Well, Mars station direct. So again, if you haven't listened to our retrograde episode, check it out. But Mars stationed retrograde, meaning that optically there was an illusion of it moving backwards. Astrologically, it was moving backwards. And Mars is a planet of direction, manifestation, and action. And so the fact that it was going backwards, for me specifically, in my 10th house of visibility, like, it forced me to get away from the spotlight and be like, no, you are not going to be seen during this time. And it was a good, like, 2 months. So it was brutal. But now I'm feeling back and better than ever.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kind of two more things before we go into the topic, just because I feel like there's so much to catch up on. With the 2 breaks, and we mentioned it last time, it was a little difficult, kind of. I even mentioned that I felt like I had a little bit of just kind of wind taken out of my sails, and it was hard ramping up. I'm feeling a lot better. I do really enjoy doing the podcast, but I like that you said you had like the 2 months of like it wasn't your choice. We have a business consultant that we work with, and we kind of brought some of our hurdles and some of our just difficulties with like running the podcast and running the business, and they were really reinvigorating, right? I think that's one thing that usually I feel like I'm really good at doing, but I'm not, like, again, I'm not infallible. Like a lot of the shit that I think I bring up, like I suffer from it too, right? The anxieties, the insecurities, the what ifs, but they really put things into perspective for us, and it was super helpful, right?
Yeah, shout out to Susan from the Small Business Development Center. If you're not in Merced, check if you have one, but it's really nice because it's your tax dollars at work. Even if you have like the concept of, I want to start a small business, even before you do anything, like they can help you. We're nerds and kind of like straight A type students, so we came with like half of our business done, and now she's just helping us like fine tune it. But yeah, she's great. At first I was like, what does this lady know about like witches and podcasting? And she's like, I've helped people be successful like circus performers, and I'm like, oh, she's legit. This is the perfect match for us.
No, we loved it. And on that note, we had a workshop for our Kythera Collective Club, but I think everybody was just busy, so nobody showed up. But we have it ready to go about asking for help. So if you're interested in something like that, let us know, because like we're ready to go on that one. We'd love to kind of share that with our community.
Yeah, definitely, because it's really difficult to ask for help.
Absolutely. And then last tangent, I promise. I feel like I would be remiss. We're recording today. It's Sunday, March 2nd. This episode comes out on Wednesday, which is like the 5th, maybe?
I don't want to do the math right now.
But yesterday was a rough one. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah. Poor David. He was like, why is everything going wrong? And I was like, it's because Mercury is starting to station retrograde. It's not fully there, but it's starting to slow down, which is called the shadow period. So you get a little sneak preview, a little taste of what Mercury retrograde is going to be like, and it hit him hard this time.
Yeah.
And then Venus also went full retrograde that day. So you have Mars starting to be retrograde and Venus in full retrograde.
Yeah, I'm a huge skeptic, and like I brought it up to you, so I think it's okay. But had I been disseminating all this shit that had been going on from the moment I woke up, and then you'd been like, well, we're in retrograde, I think that would have really annoyed me. But I'm the one who was like, what the fuck is going on? And you're like, let me tell you. And it wasn't like a lot of big things. It was a lot of like little things, but they were like back to back to back, and a lot of them were tech related, like we've talked about. And I even made a joke like, I'm so glad I'm not a cyborg, because if I was, I would have been fucked yesterday. Like it was all bad. But we ended up having a great day, and I think that's, kind of power to us beyond the astros, beyond the astrology. Like we can take control of our emotions, our destiny, whatever you call it. And we did that yesterday. It started out kind of shitty, but it ended up being a really good day for both of us.
You know what we should do for this next Unhinged? Go over your series of unfortunate events, and then I go over why that's happening specifically in your chart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That'll be the next Unhinged.
Okay, perfect. And then one thing that I did notice with that was it's not always like the big shit that happens to you, right? Sometimes it's like the little annoyances that like pile up. You know, you could definitely miss a flight and that you're not going to forget that. That's going to be impactful. But something as little as like you forgot your toothbrush and then you get to the hotel and like, you know, your room's not ready. Like all those little things also add up and become super annoying. So
death by 1,000 paper
basically,
cuts.
yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, enough catching up. Let's talk about today's topic because it seems super duper interesting. You did the research. I don't really know what you're gonna say, but yeah, let's go into it.
Yes, definitely. So we were having a conversation about this on our Kythera Club Patreon Discord group. We were talking about different like occult images and specifically my favorite one. And that's when I was like, oh, this could be its own episode topic. So yeah, there's a lot of satanic panic. There always has been, and unfortunately there always will be, about things being evil. And sometimes they're grasping at straws and sometimes it's just misunderstood.
Yeah, satanic panic is like a low-hanging fruit. It's just like the easiest thing to be like, that's the devil. Pokemon's the devil.
The Beatles.
The Beatles are the devil. Whatever's in the zeitgeist, whatever's popular, like, that's the devil. I was like, dude, the devil has a good time, then it sounds like.
I know. I want to go to that party. But yeah, sometimes it's a stretch, but sometimes, like, they're not wrong. Like, oh, this thing looks like a demon. It's like, yes, it does, but, like, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Because it is a demon.
Yeah, but that's not, so we'll talk about it. But I was like, what logos have been influenced by esoteric or occult practices or mythology? And I was really rattling my brain. So I found some that like for sure are and for sure are not. And I'm very, very excited to go into it because these are a lot of like common brands. And then there's one that threw me for a loop that I was like, there's no way that this is occult. And then it is. So anyway, super duper excited. So, you ready to begin?
Yeah.
All right, let's start with Nike. Just do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's more than just the swoosh, more than just the check mark. It represents the goddess Nike. She is the winged Greek goddess of victory, especially in art, war, and athleticism.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they pulled her name and her likeness from Greek mythology. They hired, I think, like a graphic design intern, I want to say in like the 60s or 70s, and then they collaborated with the actual like Nike startup employees, and they created like this beautiful, sleek, just do it, but they were like, we want our brand to be synonymous with winning. And I mean, now you have the Jordans, they're part of Nike. And like he's going through the air and just thinking of like Nike, the like winged goddess. I don't know. I just think that's really cool. And now people feel like the shoe to get the best results, whether you're a noob or a pro athlete, is Nike. Yeah, at least in my opinion, that's how I understand it.
I was going to say, all right, my turn to go into it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think with Nike, we're talking about their logo specifically. What sets them apart is the simplicity and the recognition of it, right? You see the swoosh, you don't have to have the word Nike because you know exactly what that is. And that's a lot of great companies that have created like timeless iconography, like Nike, Apple, Adidas. You know, all those things are so recognizable. And as like a graphic designer or a marketing expert, like that is your golden egg. Like you want to come up with something that's just rememberable and can like be its own thing and stand alone. Yeah, with Nike specifically, they paid a graphic design intern. I think it was like very little. It might have been like $100, like something tiny. They did go back and like pay her, I think, afterwards. But yeah, that was an interesting thing. She's like, well, what about like the check mark? I don't know if she came up with and I don't think this is what you were saying, but I don't think the check mark itself has any like iconography.
Yes, it does. It's a very simplified wing from the side.
Okay, but I wonder if that's why she came up with it. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm curious about. I don't know.
It's all connected. From my research,
it is. Okay, got it. Okay, cool. And I think they've always kind of thought outside of the box. Oh my gosh, I don't want to look it up, but they were called, the name of the company was called something else before Nike. But how they got super, like they're two like biggest famous stories are their kind of original like track shoe. It's called the waffle shoe, and they literally poured the soles into like waffle molds, and then that gave like the traction.
They were called Blue Ribbon Sports.
Blue Ribbon Sports, yes, that's what I was gonna say, like green something, but yeah, Blue Ribbon Sports.
Yep.
And then the biggest kind of gamble they took and it went off was literally what you said was with Jordan. They put, at that time before Michael Jordan was huge, Nike was like a bigger company, but they weren't like the biggest. It was all about like Adidas and Puma, like those were like the big players, and Reebok, I believe. Anyways, what they did was they put all their money into like one person, and that was like the birth of like the signature shoe, to the point where Michael Jordan would get fined for wearing like the shoes, but then Nike would pay the fines, and that's just like one of their big like lore stories. But it's super interesting. I could be wrong. Is it Mercury who wore the winged shoes?
The messenger Mercury, yes, has wings on his feet. Yeah.
Awesome. So the iconography in here is not necessarily demonic, but or occult, but it's like mythological, right?
I mean, depending on the sect of Abrahamic religion, it could be demonic, because anything that's not the Abrahamic God or like disciples like Jesus, Muhammad, is technically like evil. To even like reference or like draw inspiration from it is like bad.
Like the delineation is very clear.
Yeah, and I'm saying this as like a former hardcore Catholic that wanted to be a nun. Like, this is the train of thought. Like, if you see it as like good or inspirational, it's bad.
I don't know if we're gonna go into it, but I'm glad you mentioned it. But it's interesting when they do take like religious symbology and like use that iconography to kind of deduce some sort of like occult symbol. It's basically like religious judo.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on from Nike. What else we got?
So next we have NYX Cosmetics, which I know that you wouldn't know them. Their logo,
I know them.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, their logo is literally just NYX. It's pronounced Nyx, not NYX, but it's named after the goddess of the night, Nyx, and she is one of the OG goddesses. Even Zeus fears her. Like, she is a badass. And their like slogan, or in their mission statement, it says, "We want to be the brightest part of your day." So, drawing from both of these things, right? Like, even men fear her. A lot of times when people that wear makeup put their makeup on, they feel like they're putting like their armor on, and then they feel like brave enough to face the day. And then it's interesting that she's like the goddess of the night, and then they want to bring like some brightness into the darkness. Like, makeup can be such a ritual, not only in like glamour magic, but getting people's like self-esteem up and happiness up, and just feeling like, yeah, I'm ready to face the world. So I thought it was a beautiful way to, draw inspiration from the goddess Nyx. Next, Versace, of course.
Medusa.
Yeah. Yep.
Versace.
Yep. Medusa represents beauty, power, and danger. And I mean, of course, like the founders are Italian, and like they ran around and they saw like a bunch of, European art, which did have a lot of like Medusa iconography. So he really saw that from his childhood, and he's like, I've always been fascinated with the Medusas that I've seen running around Rome.
I wonder, sorry to cut off, but I wonder what the obsession is, because Gucci, they also utilize like serpents a lot in their kind of branding, and even some of their like logos look like one of those like the snakes that are like black, red, and white. Like Gucci uses kind of that iconography a lot. So now we have Versace with the Medusa. So I wonder if like that's just like a status of like that super eclectic noble with like snakes.
I think it's more just like the snake is very sleek, but it's also dangerous, which like high fashion wants to push the envelope, wants to be dangerous. I mean, Versace does it, but who does it even better to like almost be a troll is Balenciaga.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm getting way ahead of myself.
Hey, it's our podcast.
No, it's okay. But Versace, getting back to Versace, I'm not, you know what? I'm not cultured. Versace. I'm just gonna say Versace.
Versace sounds right though. I don't know either, but I think
Yeah, I'm not European, okay, but anyway. So yeah, just representing beauty, power, danger, things that you want to be when you are high fashion. So, and I think it's beautiful. Like, I've always loved their stuff. If I could afford it, I would buy Versace everything, because I also love Medusa. So
yeah, I like their cologne. That's kind of the only one. I think it's a little. I know this is gonna sound super hypocritical, but it's a little too gaudy for me. It's so like in your face. I'm like, tone it down a little bit, Versace.
that's where my Leo comes out. Like,
Yeah, you're mean, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I love Medusa, and yeah, I love a good hair moment, but also with like fashion, I feel like that's where you can really see my Leo-ness. Like, if you see pictures of me when I was like in college, I wore some kind of crazy stuff and I was experimenting with makeup. Like, on our first day, I wore a bold purple lip. If you look up I'm Royalty from Jeffree Star Cosmetics, we dated right when Jeffree Star started his brand, and that's a purple I wore to our first date. And my dad would always give me shit because he's like, you always want to wear weird things or things that people like don't wear. You're gonna have to hire your own designer to make you like one of a kind pieces. And part of the reason why like I took an interest in sewing and then life just got in the way is because, yeah, I want to make my own shit. I want to make my own one of a kind pieces. But that's why I also like thrifting, because you can find a lot of unique stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so final two things that I want to talk about. My favorite occult symbol, and then the one that I was like, there's no way it's occult, and then it was. So my favorite, because I'm just like, you evil geniuses, is Starbucks.
The siren?
The siren, or the demon Vesper, who is also a mermaid or merman. One of the 72 demons of the Ars Goetia. But even if you don't look at that specific demon, but just like sirens in general, like the sirens call, like they lure people to them. And yeah, they definitely were.
They don't just lure them, they lure them to their death.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And I mean, they definitely took inspiration from the siren, and they will not admit this, but I'm sure they thought about this. If you're peddling a drug, which caffeine is a drug and my favorite drug, but if you're peddling a drug, if you are a drug dealer, to use a siren as your logo is like chef's kiss, evil genius, and I live for it.
Yeah. Oh, I never thought of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. It is so evil and so clever. And I will be honest, like, Starbucks has a chokehold on me. Like, I know we're trying to boycott. I know we're not trying to support, but every once in a while, I'm just like, the coffee is mid, but I want it. I don't know why. I just want it.
I'm laughing because once in a while I was like daily, but okay.
No, not anymore. No, not anymore.
No, wait, I will give you that. Not anymore for sure. That was a joke. But like for a while it was like kind of our middle years, and I never had a problem with it. I'm like, you're paying for it. It's whatever. But you fucking love Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they decided to do some interesting, like,
Well, they're sirens.
corporate choices. I know, but still. I used to also love, like, all the stuff they made, like, all their cups and stuff. It was cute, but, like, unfortunately, I can't support you that often anymore.
They're cool.
Progress, not perfection. Anyway, so yes, Starbucks is, like, my favorite example
So
of this.
Starbucks after we record this, or what? Are you down?
No.
Get a coffee?
We're gonna go to the Cheesecake Factory. This is gonna be too crazy. Okay. So, what do you think about Starbucks? I think it's genius. Like, evil
I like
genius.
that connection that you made. I would have never gone there. Even the fact, like, the sirens, they were in Seattle. So,
Influenced by the water.
Yeah, influenced by the water. Seattle's a huge art culture. But no, I love it, and sometimes I'm like, well, they just landed. Like, that was you can make points out of everything, which is something I will touch upon for this episode, kind of when I get to talk about some of the stuff I know. But no, I mean, that's, luring them, people in. And then they were the first ones to be like, come in and stay a while. Mm-hmm. They weren't trying to get people through the door. That set them apart a lot. And then, absolutely. Yeah, I think you're right.
Side note, they had a previous CEO that was like, churn them and burn them. Fuck the customer. Just get them in, get them out. they have a new CEO who's trying to bring back that model of like come in and stay a while.
Yeah, but he's the CEO of like Chipotle, isn't he?
Yes. I don't know how it's gonna work out, but it's just interesting to see. And one of the things that I saw, because I had a gift card and I went with my cousin, was that they had
You don't have to justify your Starbucks visits.
whatever. It's my podcast. I'm gonna say what I want. Was they had the like creamers out, and that's when she brought it up, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I was looking all of this up around the same time. Is it thundering?
It's thundering.
That's an omen. God is like, get off your bullshit. Quit talking about other gods except for me.
Yeah, the audio's probably not going to pick it up because I'm a genius. But it was thundering really hard right now.
It's thundering like really crazy right now. Is it a sign?
I know.
Are we grasping at straws like the next ones I'm going to talk about?
Yeah.
Anyway. So I'm going to talk about the one that I thought was not occult, and then it absolutely was, and I was mind blown. And then I'll talk about the ones that are definitely not, but people think are.
Yeah.
So CBS, the eye logo, I was like, well, it's a media company, so people are watching it, and also there's like an eye.
The all-seeing eye.
No, I was thinking like the lens of the camera.
Oh, okay.
That was my logical, like, this is fucking obvious. But I was also thinking evil eye.
Oh.
I was like, I could see a conspiracy theorist thinking that this is the evil eye. But then I was like, there's no shot. It's definitely like something mundane, like people watching, or like the eye of the camera.
That's what I would have thought.
I did my research. It actually is based off of the evil eye.
It is.
It is. One of the founders of CBS, I don't know if it was the founder or one of the early graphic designers, I don't remember who, but you can look this up, was inspired by all of the evil eye iconography.
Interesting.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So it's like the obvious, but also that.
Yeah. And hidden so, no pun intended, but in plain sight. Right?
Yeah, because it's like the most obvious thing. That's not the answer. Yeah. It was the answer this time.
Interesting. All right, before we get into the ones that are not occult symbols, one thing that I thought you were going to talk about, which in my notes, I'm not seeing that we are talking about it, and because we're in Mercury retrograde, my internet's not working. Yeah. But just like off the top of our head, see what we can come up with. Do you know the symbology? What's the
symbolism?
Yeah, the symbolism behind like the Masons. That's the one I thought you were going to touch on.
Well, they are like a religious sort of group, so I wasn't going to go into their like symbols or logos. I was going to go more corporate, but I actually don't know like a lot.
Well, I know they have like this all-seeing eye, and then it looks like a compass with like the ruler. It's kind of like a triangle. But that was... like, I think they're so fun to pick apart just because of the shroud of mystery. I don't think they're up to anything bad. It's just like, a social group that has a lot of iconography, probably
a lot of rituals.
Yeah.
It gives me more frat vibes than like
exactly. Yeah.
Than like coven vibes.
And coven vibes. But I just was curious if you knew anything about like the symbolism for the Masons.
I didn't look them up. I was thinking more corporate to this episode.
Awesome. Yeah.
So now we'll talk about the ones that people are like, that's a cult for sure. But it's really not. It's really mundane. Did you know people have a problem or a bone to pick with Google Chrome? In terms of satanic panic, not like its usability.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, again, low-hanging fruit. The bigger you are, the easier of a target you are. And unfortunately, right now, tech companies are in the hot water. So I'm not surprised. But yeah, I have heard that, like, I've never heard anything about Google's logo, but, it's easy to go after Google.
So people think that it's a 666 because it has, like, 3 different colors and a circle in the middle.
And lines.
So people are like, 666. No. What it really is, when they first started Google Chrome...
Sorry, and I hate to interrupt you, but what is the thing with, like, in the 6 being evil? Do you know?
Yes. And we're going to talk...
We're going to talk about that.
Yes, we're going to talk about it. In terms of... Never mind. We'll talk about it after.
Okay.
But... Anyway, so people are thinking that the Google Chrome logo is 666. Google Chrome, when it started, was a rocket ship. And they were like, we need something that's a little more sleek, a little more, like, not scary, because people are going to think this is, like, rocket science. So it's, like, an abstract rocket ship from the bottom.
Oh, like,
so,
the thruster from the bottom.
Yeah, the rocket booty. So,
the rocket.
So, yes.
Here I'm trying to, like, at least keep some sense of, like, this podcast has structure. We're educated.
Hell no.
So I'm talking about the thrusters, and you're like, nope, it's the rocket ass.
The rocket booty. Yeah, okay. So it's an abstract rocket booty. That's what it is.
Okay.
Then there's Internet Explorer. People think it's the rings of Saturn, and there's like an association with Satan and Saturn. But
all these tech companies.
Yeah. But it's not. So Internet Explorer used to be. Now they made it something else. But the E with like a ring around it.
There's a lowercase e.
Yeah, with a ring around it. It's Earth being connected by the World Wide Web.
Oh,
that's
I didn't know that.
Literally it.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Firefox isn't on here, because Firefox is like the fox and the moon logo, but a lot of people are like, I mean, it looks cool, but also, you know, it can look kind of like, ooh, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that one, but that makes sense.
Well, no, since we're just talking about basically all the search engines.
Okay, finally, this is not a tech company. Monster Energy drink.
Yes, that famous ass video, right?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Everyone's like, oh my god. Like, it really just is, like, monsters have claws, right? So if they, like, clawed at something, it would look like that. Like an M, if they had, like, 3 claws. Like,
Yeah.
But people think it's 666 because there's the 6th letter in the Hebrew alphabet is Vav. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And it looks like one of those lines, like a little line horizontally. And then
you know what it looks like to me? It looks like a railroad spike.
Yeah, and that's what the letter Vav looks like. So they're like, it's the 6th letter in the Hebrew alphabet. There's 3 of them, aka 666.
Okay. And what's the deal with the 6?
So, in the Bible somewhere, it says that there's going to be a mark of the beast, basically, like, at the end of times. I don't exactly remember why the 6s are on there. I thought we were going to talk about, like, Monster Energy drink. Let me look up specifically, like, the...
Well, you do that. So, there was this, like, pretty famous video that blew up like about 10 years ago of this like lady that had a booth. I don't know what type of convention it was, if it was like a Christian convention or something, but she had her like conspiracy theory board, like that meme. It's from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he has like all the strings and the crazy things in the background, and she's like, Monster Energy drink is so evil. And then yeah, she came up with like their logo, which was Unleash the Beast, something about MILFs. I can't remember, but she's like, yeah, it said like, you'll be bagging MILFs or something in their can description. And obviously she was like appalled by that, probably because she wasn't a MILF herself. So she was projecting. And then, the 666. And then she ends it with like this iconic, she's like, so it's 666 and you turn it over backwards. What does that give you? Like the devil or whatever. It was really cringy, but a lot of people ran with it. And I had a conversation. I was talking to a close family member, and I was like, "Look how ridiculous this is!" Like, I was gonna like partake in the joke with them, and they were like, "Well," and they were like, "He's like, I don't." They were like, "I don't know if this is like
that
coincidence." Yeah, because he's like, "These are way too many coincidences," and that's what I was touching on earlier. Was like, you can make through lines for everything, right? It's pretty easy. People who do improv, that's literally their job, You take a topic and you see how you can connect it to another topic. So
that's also a defense attorney's job.
It's also, yeah, exactly. So, there's going to be, something there. And again, that low-hanging fruit, Unleash the Beast at 6. Anything that's like counterculture is always like...
always evil.
Yeah. It's like the pentagram. Like the pentagram itself isn't necessarily evil, right?
No, it represents the four like nature elements and the 5th element, which is the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Anyway.
right. What'd you find?
So, according to the Encyclopedia Britannica, it's the number of the beast, well-known instance of biblical numerology appearing in John 13:18. But there have been so many translations of the Bible.
Yeah.
The number of the beast is usually referred to as 666, although earlier translations give the beast the number of 616. But 666 looks cooler, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's also why Hobby Lobby doesn't have barcodes, because they're a Christian company.
Well, they do now, right?
No, they
Oh,
don't.
they don't?
No, they
Oh.
type everything in. Because...
Are you sure?
Yes. Barcodes can be seen as the mark of the beast. There was this thing in, like, I want to say the 80s, where people thought that, like, yeah, barcodes were going to lead to the apocalypse or some shit. So... yeah, it was very interesting to learn that. But yeah, no, Monster Energy drink is just like a monster claw, a cool stylized green M.
Yeah. What is your favorite energy drink?
Oh, I love Red Bull.
You love Red Bull, yeah.
Love Red Bull.
I haven't drank an energy drink in like since 2023 just because like I ended up in the hospital. Not because of the energy drinks, but like because of high blood pressure. And I didn't drink them religiously, but they were just such an easy thing to grab and be like, let's just drink one. God, I missed them so much. I was drinking the Prime ones right before that, and they're just so helpful.
Yeah.
But my favorite one was the nitrous one, the NOS. It was so good. It tasted delicious. But alrighty, anything else on iconography or
Let us know what logo you're curious about, or if you know any fun facts of any logos. I would love to keep learning. This is such an interesting topic.
Absolutely. I should have looked it up, but I know the NASA logo. I don't know if it has a constellation on there. I think it has the rings.
I think it has a ring, like the rings of Saturn.
Yeah. Hopefully we still get to keep NASA.
Oh, there are some stars on there.
There are some stars, and I'm always curious, like if it's a special constellation.
It looks like the Big Dipper.
The Big Dipper. Oh, okay.
I don't know.
So just like the famous one.
Like,
yeah. Alrighty. Anything else?
Yeah, we did get a comment last week from Mercy on Spotify. Thank you so much. She said, "We are back, baby." Yes, we are. Very excited to be back, and I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. It's not our typical astrology one, but it was nice to take a little break from that.
Yeah, it was nice to go back to like our kind of
occult
stuff, you know, like our butterfly effect, I love that episode, by the way. If you haven't listened to that one, that's a good listen.
Speaking of being back, I will be back in San Francisco at Infinity Coven. So if you want to get an in-person reading from me in San Francisco, I will be there the last Saturday of March. If you go to my Linktree, you can book on there. But of course, I also do readings in Merced, and I also do readings virtually. So no matter where you are, you can get a hold of me, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, at Jen Kahlo or jencahlo.com.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, it's good to be back. Thank you so much for listening to us rant. This one felt good. It felt like kind of the beginning times where we would just kind of go on our little, not tangents, but just our ideas and just focus on one topic. So thank you so much for listening.
Remember, the magic within you makes the world a more beautiful place. Blessed be and signing off.
Bye.